opponent to become confused, but while it is definitely useful, a confused enemy is the embodiment of never let him know your next move. After they are all done with the kobolds on this level, they get started with looting the bodies, and Mary explains that all kobolds have talismans on their noses, but the ones here aren't going to be worth much since the kobolds here are low-level scrubs. There are others of higher level the deeper you go into the mine, so they will have to be more careful as they descend. As they go, they find a group of kobolds sleeping, and Ronta thinks it'll be some easy loot and if they didn't want to dive and why sleep, but the others are largely against it and leave him monologuing about how great his philosophy is. They continue the hunt, and Shihoro uses her new spell to bind the kobolds to the ground, making them easy kills for the rest of the team, and Haru experiences that glowing line again. He understands a little more about how it guides him to strike in the most efficient way possible, but once it appears, he cannot change his breathing or hesitate for even a moment. His body must move on its own for the strike to be a success, and he manages to pull it off again. These kobolds were fairly easy to take down as well, but Mary cautions them not to get careless because from here on out, they will be facing elder kobolds who are much stronger and smarter. They use strategies and different tactics when they fight, so it's not going to be as easy as all the others. Haru worries that they are growing a bit too confident with how well things have been going, and he can tell that something bad is due to happen. So he decides they should pack it up and return to town for now. Ronta doesn't like the idea of quitting when they've been on a win streak, but he goes along with Haru's decision. Back in town, Haru thinks of how Ronta doesn't really get along with him or the others on the team, so that night he tries to have a talk with Ronta about his behavior. They head outside, but as Haru brings up Ronta's behavior, Ronta gets defensive. He's aware that he is not great at teamwork, but everyone has their weaknesses, even Haru, but he never complained about his shortcomings. He likes to do things his own way and will continue to do things as he wants. He then storms off, and Haru is not sure what to do. The next day, as they return to the mines, Ronta is being a bit more aggressive and obnoxious with his actions than he usually would. It's starting to get on Haru's nerves, but he keeps his cool in order to avoid a big fight. They move down to the third floor and find a field where they notice some kobolds in the distance. Ronta wants to run in and kill them, but it would cause a really dangerous situation if they did it too slow and allowed them to call for reinforcements. Just then, Ronta accidentally trips an alarm system that the kobolds created, and it alerts the kobolds to their presence. Mary is still calm and says their best option is to go down to the 5th floor since an open field puts them at a real disadvantage, but that calm demeanor flew out the window real quick once she heard a familiar set of giant footprints. It is Deathspot. We see a memory of Mary with her old party as she wakes up, and the leader says they should all head to the Cyrene Mines today since a lot of other adventurers are also heading there as well. They all trust his judgment and follow him despite his pushiness, and Mary was really happy. But this is still just a flashback, and she gets snapped out of it by her current team. She regains her composure, and Deathspot passes by them without noticing. After he's gone, they all head down to the 5th floor to avoid any further confrontations, and as they descend, they can feel the temperature rising as this floor is used for melting metal. This is also the same floor that Mary's friends all died on, so she looks a bit distraught but says she is fine. They can't rest near the entrance, so Mary says they should go to a safe room that her party used to use when they came down here. They assassinate one of the kobolds to get past it and make their way to the safe room, but this is also the room where Mary's party met their ends, and consequently, since their bodies were never taken care of, they have all been reanimated as undead beings. Mary dreaded it, but she knew one day she would have to face them like this, so she learned the spell to undo the undead curse, but before she can use it, so Haru and the others need to hold them off. They engage in combat, but the undead are much stronger than them and have abilities that exceed the team's skill level, so they are having a hard time. But while Ronta is dealing with the thief, Haru and Yume struggle with the mage's barrage of fire missiles and a wall of fire in front of them. Mary leaps through the flames and casts the Dispel, hugging her friend goodbye as she turns to dust. With one down, Haru runs over to help Ronta, who immediately picks up on his intention and performs a team tactic to land a hit on the thief. In times like this, Ronta truly shines, as Haru would never be able to win a fight like this one-on-one, but with Ronta, they are able to defeat it and allow Mary to perform Dispel. The last one is the tank that is currently fighting Maguzo, but Maguzo is greatly outmatched because, come on, the undead just did a triple front flip in the air. The skill gap is too wide. Luckily, the entire team is here to help out, and after disarming it, Mary is finally able to free her last friend from the curse. Mary has finally made peace with what happened to her friends, so she may be able to move on now, and the others are there to help her through it. They are all exhausted and can't wait to get home and relax, but again, things were going too well, and Deathspot bursts through a wall. And you can just tell by his face that he has been hunting them on demon time. It's personal. Haru nearly gets split in two immediately, but manages to deflect the attack at the last second, injuring his hand in the process, but managing to get away and tells everyone to run for it. They all run towards the exit and are chased down by all the kobolds in the area, and Deathspot, who is chasing them like they insult his mama or something. It destroys the entire base just to get to them, and due to that, Haru almost falls back into the lion's den. However, Ronta manages to catch him and prevents his plummet, but as they are trying to escape again, Ronta falls and is left at the bottom, with no way to get back up. However, he yells for the others to get out of there while they still can while he faces the pack of kobolds. Ronta somehow manages to survive and escape back into the fields where he hides among the worm cattle things. And with all his flaws, you have to admit that Ronta is built different. He survived alone against Deathspot and 20 kobolds while Mary's team died with only Deathspot. The others made it to one of the upper floors, but obviously aren't going to leave Ronta behind. Even if they don't particularly like the dude, he is still a valuable member of the team and saved Haru, so they get ready to go back for him. Ranta gets spotted by one of the kobolds and alerts the others to his presence, forcing him to make a run for it despite his injuries. The others hear the commotion and realize it must be Ranta, so they hurry over to find him while he is currently cornered by Deathspot and is hobbling away with a broken leg. They finally find him and Yume fires some arrows to slow Deathspot down while Haru gets Ranta. Mary heals him and they all turn to run away. Once they are safe, Mary fully heals Ranta and he starts looking like he is about to cry. Yume jokes about it a little, but Ranta was really scared that he would never get to see any of them again. However, you'll never hear him admit that. As they continue to the surface, Mary tells Haru that she is almost out of magic and that she would only be able to use one more heal, so he tells her to recover once they get to the entrance. But just when they thought they were in the clear, Deathspot returns. Seriously, what did they do to deserve this kind of chasing? Shikora uses up the last of her magic to attack, and Muguruza moves in as well, but Mary warns them that Deathspot grows stronger when he takes damage. Haru thinks their only option is running, but they would never be able to outrun this beast, so he makes the decision to drag it down with him and save the other. He leaves Ranta in charge and is half dead at the bottom of the cliff, but Ranta yells to him not to give up. It's a battle to the death, and one of them literally has death in its name, so Haru doesn't think he has much of a chance of living through this. He at least hopes that Mary will return to cast a spell on him after he is dead. As Deathspot prepares to attack, Haru notices the glowing lights and how everything is moving in slow motion. This is his last hope, so he follows it and manages to slash at Deathspot's last good eye. And upon landing, counters the strike Deathspot threw at him, splitting the sword and launching it back into Deathspot, killing him. Haru then collapses and wakes up to find Mary by his bed waiting for him to regain consciousness. He doesn't remember what happened to him, but Ranta throws him a sack of 30 gold, which was the bounty on Deathspot. That night, they all go to the bar to celebrate their victory and Haru's survival in the mines. It has now been a long while since he came to this world, and he still has no memories of what his past life was, but he is happy with the new home he has found here, and there are many more adventures to be had.